Welcome to Motivating Your Club Members with the Club Health Thermometer Challenge. We'd like to have a couple of ground rules set out for today. As we've all gotten familiar with Sling Show, we know that everybody can't be on the stage at once, but it would be nice to have a couple of friendly face volunteers that would like to come up and join Steve and I on the stage so that we can get a gauge on how things are going, but also so that it's a little bit easier to ask questions if you do that. I'd like to request that everybody stay on mute unless you actually have a question, but I do want this to be interactive. So put your name or say hi, put me up on the stage, something like that. Sugan says he's interested, so perfect. And then for everybody else, please feel free to use the chat. We will be monitoring the chat. No worries about that. So let's go ahead and get started. 7 years ago, Steve Lanning joined Speakeasy Toastmasters in Hadley, Massachusetts. He has served 3 years as an area director and 2 more as a division director. Steve has been a Pathways Guide since the rollout in 2018. He's completed his DTM in January of 2020 and was named District 53's Toastmaster of the Year for 2019 to 2020. This spring, he co-chaired the District 53 Realignment Committee and chaired the District Leadership Subcommittee for interviewing division director candidates. I swore I was going to get that right. As our area director for 2019 to 2020, Steve planted an idea with Talk It Up Toastmasters, which grew into the Club Health Thermometer Challenge. Let's hear how and where it all started and welcome Steve Lanning for our part 1 of our session, Club Challenges and the Power of Active Listening. Steve?
Just have to make an adjustment here. There we go. Thank you, Kate, and good afternoon, my inquisitive Toastmasters friends. I know why you're all here. You want to learn more about the Club Health Thermometer Challenge. Like, where did it come from? How does it work? And will it really help my club? I can tell you that it didn't come from our Toastmasters magazine, nor was it anywhere online. It came from 2 disparate experiences I had. One was a successful Pathways Club challenge. The other was a story I heard and retained as an active listener. As my home club's VPE in 2018, I challenged my club in mid-July to have every member enrolled in Pathways by October 1st. This was all I asked, nothing more, but I did ask that every member embrace this challenge. By October 1st, every Speakeasy member had enrolled. At our first meeting in January, I issued part 2 of my club challenge to have every member give their Pathways icebreaker speech before June 30th. On June 16th, the last of our 27 members gave their Pathways icebreaker speech. Well, so what? What did that get us? There were no ribbons, there were no medals or gift certificates. But now the entire club was engaged with the future of Toastmasters. We earned 15 level awards that first year. We gained 17 new members, and we ended the year +7 in membership growth. We had motivation and we had progress. This year we will reach an astounding 31 level awards and finish up 5 paths. For those of you who know me a bit, you've heard about my conversion ratio metric. It takes 4 guests to sign up 1 new member. So far this year, we're doing even better at 3.1 to 1. Kate's Club Health Thermometer Challenge builds motivation, leading to club momentum and membership growth. But there is another story, and without it, there is no Club Health Thermometer Challenge. In June of 2019, I was talking to Andrew Watt, our current director, about various struggles in corporate and community clubs. He had spoken with a Toastmaster in Chicago who had devised a spreadsheet similar to our DPR, our Distinguished Performance Report, part of the DCP umbrella. Its purpose was to strengthen corporate support for his club by supplying club metrics that meshed with corporate's goals. Using those results, management could decide whether to support the company club or not. I said, hey, that's pretty cool, and promptly put that conversation on a back shelf. Fast forward to the fall, when as the area director for Talk It Up Toastmasters, I made my fall club visit. Kate will tell you what happened when we met, but her club was talking about closing. I wondered, why can't we do the same spreadsheet thing with their community club? They can choose their own parameters. What behaviors did they want to influence the most? Could they include a Pathways Club challenge? Could they make it fun? Would it even work? Kate will share the story of how she and her club brought these two disparate ideas together, a club challenge and a spreadsheet, to build a creative, amazing, and fantastic club asset. You know what I'm talking about. Using SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-constrained, they created the Club Health Thermometer Challenge. The result was increased club momentum, more pathways progress, and a sense of unity, all because it was rewarding and fun. Now I want to bring back our main presenter for today, Kate Scarcella. Kate has been in Toastmasters for 4 years and is finishing her second year as the VP Education at Talk It Up Toastmasters. She's raising 2 children and works as a project manager. Kate has a passion for developing high-performing teams in both her professional and volunteer roles. She has earned her Competent Leader Award and is working in Effective Coaching Level 3. In the fall of 2019, she spearheaded the development and maintenance of the first iteration of the Club Health Thermometer Challenge. She will show you how she improved this tool in her second iteration for this year. I have been really impressed by the improvements. You will see just how adaptable, rewarding, and fun the Club Health Thermometer Challenge can be for your club. You won't want to leave this room. Please help me welcome again from Windsor, Connecticut, Talk It Up Toastmasters' very own Kate Scarcella. Kate.
Thank you, Steve. As Steve mentioned, Talk It Up Toastmasters entered the 2019 to 2020 Toastmasters year in a rough spot. Many of our longtime members had left the club due to job and life changes. Work got very busy for the few remaining members, leaving us with small meetings. Have you ever had your agenda look like this, where you have 3 or 4 people filling all of the roles? We were also navigating the Pathways transition, and so many of the members felt overwhelmed with the new education plan. Most clubs go through these bumps and struggles to find struggling to find a solution. We had a decent number of guests, but they were not joining the club because, in all honesty, they felt really overwhelmed with how active we had to be in each of our meetings, filling all of the roles. During that brainstorming session that Steve talked about at our officer meeting, he suggested that we try to gamify our club activities to motivate our club members to achieve annual goals that we established for our club. This definitely struck an interested chord with our officers. I must admit that I was the skeptic in the group, but as incoming VPE, I took the suggestion to heart and came up with the Club Health Thermometer. For the 2019 to 2020 year, our focus was on adding members and increasing our participation. We structured the program around achieving a common goal by earning points just for participating, with bonus points if all of the roles were filled prior to the meeting, allowing the participants to really be prepared. With this new focus on how each member's participation impacts the club, and an infusion of new members from the hard work of our VPM and VPPR, our meetings gained momentum toward the end of 2019. After achieving our points goal, we had a virtual happy hour with the club to celebrate. And by the end of that Toastmasters year, our healthier and engaged club achieved select distinguished status. For 2020 to 2021, the thermometer reflected our new club goals of individual member growth. Each member was incentivized to grow their skills by completing 3 projects, 1 pathways level, and fulfilling every role in the meeting throughout the year, aligning personal growth with the DCP goals. With this approach, we could encourage members who limit themselves to 1 or 2 particular roles to get out of their comfort zones and to gain skills at something new. I've learned that keeping the thermometer in front of people is highly motivating, especially since I'm tracking individual contributions toward the overall club goal, and some of our members are quite motivated by a healthy competition. I put the latest thermometer in my emails at least once before each meeting so that people know which roles they have to fulfill. Other clubs have taken this to another level, offering prizes and trophies for whoever earns the most points or gains a specific goal. The purpose of this thermometer is to align points with your club goals while also supporting Toastmaster International's Distinguished Club Program goals. The beauty of this system is that it can be adapted to whatever the club's goals are for that particular year and how each member is motivated. I, for one, am motivated by contributing to the club's overall point total. Other members in my club are motivated by the strive to be first. The first iteration of Talk It Up Toastmasters put together was focused on just getting people in the door and signed up for roles and speeches, because that's what the club needed, people in the room and engaged. The second and current iteration focuses on encouraging members to try different roles to get out of their comfort zone with something new. To achieve this, you only get points the first time you try a role, which discourages signing up for the same role, say timer, at every meeting and still banking on getting points. We also have had a much higher guest-to-member conversion ratio because they see the current members are prepared, supported, and engaged. As word of this program has spread throughout D53, other clubs have added new incentives, such as trophies, gift cards, and other prizes. So let's get into how you do it. First thing you need to do is identify your club's needs. Toastmasters has a lot of great tools in order to get you started. I'm not going to go into these in detail, but they are all available on the Toastmasters International website. The first is the Moments of Truth. This is a great tool, but it takes a little bit of time. This tool is a list of questions that you present to your club officers and members, and everybody has an honest conversation about how they feel the club rates on each of these goals. Then you can take that to identify which areas are your strengths and which are your weaknesses and generate gaps that you need to address. The next is the Distinguished Club Program that I already mentioned. This is our club, the entire Toastmasters community's goal for every year and how we are measured. Now, it's always important to make sure that you're rolling this into your goals, but each club is unique. So you want to also have your own personal goals so that you can fulfill and bridge those gaps that you identified in the Moments of Truth. And finally, the last one that I'd like you guys to research and take a look at is the Club Success Plan. This is a written plan on how you're going to achieve those goals. And the Club Health Thermometer is a step-by-step, approachable program that keeps your club members engaged in order to achieve the success that you laid out. I'm going to go through 2 examples here. I'm going to bring up some spreadsheets and pop around in them a little bit. These are all in the handouts that are available online. And feel free to ask questions if I have jumped into something that you need to have clarified. The first one I'm going to do is what we did the first year. This year, this particular year, our goal was to deal with low participation. We needed to have people attending meetings, being prepared, not jumping up and down all the time, so that basically you had the same 2 or 3 members leapfrogging each other around the agenda. We started by identifying which areas, what things people could do in order to improve our overall club meetings. Of course, we wanted to make sure that giving speeches and fulfilling pathways goals was part of our progress. So that is the first section that we put in. The second one, our big deal here, club participation. So people got points for filling meeting roles and also for attending events that really bond people as part of the club, and that would be social events, club officer trainings, and then participating in the contests. And finally, we needed to grow our membership, because if you have the same 3 people at every meeting, you need some reinforcements to come in. Therefore, we had incentives for people to bring or be a guest, join Talk It Up Toastmasters, renew your membership, start a mentoring program, which is really shown to have longevity and retention in your membership, and then also complete a program. I also assigned these points based on really how I weighted the effort. These points are completely up to you, as are any of the things that people are measured on. So I want you, in the future, when you take this to your club, to really customize it to what it is that you're looking for. Also, I love bonus points. I think that they're really fun, and I love to recognize people who are going above and beyond. So whenever our club membership fulfilled all of the roles in the meeting, we got an extra 20 points. Also, when our club came together and everybody had signed up for Pathways by September 30th, bonus 100 points. Everybody does a speech, either an icebreaker, or if you've already done that, another Pathways speech, but by December 31st, 100 points. Sure, why not? And then if everybody achieved level 1 by the end of that Toastmasters year, we got another 100 points. But it's not something that I put in the overall calculation, but it's something that we could all come together and work together to reach our goal earlier. Now, this takes a little bit of upkeep, and so I'll get into that a little bit later. But for each of these meetings, I'm just going to show you here, 2 meetings in August, after every meeting, I would just go through and put in a tally of who did what, right? Not who did what, but how many roles were fulfilled. If you drop down here, and this is all in the handouts, if you drop down here, I have some quick calculations to calculate the points and let you know how we were going toward our goal. And I even have a little chart here to show how things worked and how we progressed throughout the year, so that I would have a good visual in order to share with the club. The next important thing that you guys need to do, or really this needs to happen beforehand, that you need to do in order to set all this stuff up, is you need to set up the template for how many points you expect to be achieving. So 2 speeches per meeting, 10 members signing up for Pathways, two evaluations per meeting, 7 roles filled, all that kind of stuff. The rest of it I kind of sprinkled throughout the year, expecting that we weren't going to achieve everything in every meeting. And we came up with approximately 4,000 points as the total that we would earn throughout the year. I said, you know what, we're probably not going to get all of that, so let's put our goal at 75%. That seems a C is a good reasonable number. So I put our goal at just around 3,000 points, which we were able to achieve in June of 2020, even with COVID going on and having all the weirdness that happened around those meetings. As you can see, we had a little bit of a drop off around that time, but we picked it up once we got going. So that is the first example for low participation. The benefits of this one are that the club needed to work together in order to achieve this higher participation. Metrics were based on how many people participated and not who participates. The club celebrated we celebrated the achievement as a club, and it aligns with the DCP goals. The second one that I'm going to show you is what we're doing for this Toastmasters year, which is really all about diversifying skills. And honestly, the DCP doesn't really cover diversity of skill. It covers it through paths, but it doesn't cover your meeting roles, which is what we need to do every week that we're meeting. So again, first focus is on education and meeting and what we need to do in order to try and get our DCP goals. So I said everybody needed 3 projects, 1 level. But then the second half of what I did is I wanted to have everyone count, everyone fulfill every role in the meeting. Again, with my bonus points, 2 extra projects and 1 completed level. Now, that's where I stopped because I wanted to have some bonus points, but I didn't want to have to keep reiterating my spreadsheet and editing it all the time. So I said, you know what? Once you achieve all of that, we're done. You're good. You did a great job. But I wasn't going to keep updating it and expanding it as people like Mohan kept going above and beyond even what I had anticipated. So here, whenever anybody filled a role, I would put in the date. And then again, this drops down into a calculation. And I actually created this lovely report, which this fills in automatically. So let's say here that I'm member 1, and I just completed a level today. So 5:15, my report now shows that I completed a level. And this is through conditional formatting once you get into the spreadsheet. But it updates automatically. And it's a nice visual that you can screenshot and share with your club in their emails so that they can look for their name and look what they've filled and what they haven't. And they know what they need to sign up for. And on this slide here, I have the baseline calculation, which on this one is relatively self-explanatory. I also have an extra bonus in this particular spreadsheet, which is just a little tracking thing that I had put together that makes my life a heck of a lot easier in order to keep track of who is where in their paths that you can fill out. So our example about diversifying skills, the metrics on this one are more based on individual performance because that's what the goals are based around. The club members can compete for the highest standing and or just contribute to the overall club points goal. We're going to be celebrating both individual achievements and club achievements this year in our picnic that we voted to have as our celebration, and the metrics support the DCP goals. Next, I want to get through how to introduce this to your club. I tried to keep it simple by creating a flyer that everybody got to see in their email that clearly explained what the goals were for the year and the points that people could achieve. I also did a quick presentation in the beginning of the year to talk about it with the membership. The big thing to explain in here is the why. And I like to make sure that I do that so that those members who maybe are feeling a little overwhelmed by Toastmasters in general don't get even more overwhelmed by this whole points competition deal thing that we have going on, right? So I explained the why and how it's supposed to be fun, what we're trying to achieve by having personal growth and fulfilling our Pathways projects. I was also very enthusiastic. As the person who is running this program, be a VPE or another member of your club, enthusiasm is super important because we are trying to make this fun. You want to be clear on how it works. You want people to understand when they're getting points and when they're not getting points. Just like when I said, you only get points for one role per meeting, because I tend to be a person who will sign up for both Toastmaster and General Evaluator, but I'm not going to be getting 40 points in a meeting because that's a little unfair. Also, be clear on how it will help each of the members and the club as a whole, and it really helps bring people together. Do be flexible if you have members that have questions or concerns, and especially in the beginning of the program, feel free to adjust things if there's something that you did not anticipate. Incentivize the participation, but don't penalize people who aren't into it. Again, this isn't supposed to discourage people who are maybe feeling nervous about doing Toastmasters. It's supposed to get people excited about fulfilling the roles, being an active member, and completing their projects. Include the bonus points because they're fun, and I love bonus points. And then also include prizes, trophies, and awards as you see fit and as your club budgets allow. Now, keeping it up is definitely a big thing. And I'm going to tell you, as becoming an officer in Toastmasters, and especially in VPE, I have had to get heckin' organized. And that's really what this is all about. You build it into your routine that you have prior to each meeting. So I report the progress during the sign-up process for each meeting. Here's that lovely green and white chart that I talked about that generates itself as I keep it up. Update the report before the meeting starts so that it's ready for the next one. I do it when I'm printing the agenda so that I don't have to search and go back and forth a bunch of times when our agenda cycles through. I set aside time in the VPE report in my club's business meeting to throw up a little slide in order to show people how we go. And it doesn't have to be complicated. This is the slide that I share with people as we go through. This is just a PowerPoint slide where I created this hill of Sisyphus, as I like to call it, but luckily the boulder didn't roll back down at any point during the year. And I just tried to keep it fun with some fun sayings to have up here, and I have a scale so that we could all go up and see how we're doing, but keep it on visual. Keep it visual, and then also report and discuss this at the officer meetings. You can use this to actually guide members that seem to not be progressing. You can use it when you're in your mentoring sessions in order to help them gain confidence or try something new. Yeah, Sugan, can you mute yourself, please? So actually, now we're getting into a quick session of brainstorming. So I have a small blank thing here where we can go in and fill something out. So would anybody like to share a goal that they would like to have for their club? something that they would like to do, that they would like to achieve. So we can try and we can say that we want to have people, we want to focus on mentoring for this year. I'm willing to take on a different task, but let's go with mentoring because I haven't thought about that one yet. So we want to have some goals that, okay, Kelsey, you want to come speak up? We'll put you on. There we go, Kelsey. There, welcome, Kelsey.
Hello, am I muted? Can you hear me?
Nope, you're good.
Excellent. I would say a goal that I would like to see for my club this year is establishing some sort of committee, whether it be a marketing committee or open house committee. But I would hope that we would have a couple core folks who are solely focused on recruiting and engagement. That's a goal that I would hope for the club.
Okay. My own fingers trip me up here. So, what can we do for, what steps can each member take in order to help with these committees? Let's say, well, first they can join a committee.
Yes, they could join, and then also the EC could pick people they think would be a good fit for the committee and actually ask and invite people.
Okay, yeah. So joining a committee either through volunteer or voluntold, right? Which is great. So we get points for that. And how about participation in the committee? We can do a goal such as hold a committee event, right? And what other things might we do?
I would imagine establishing some sort of a Facebook page and sending viral invites to the public.
Okay. Share the Facebook page. Okay. Great. So now we have 4 goals, and then we can also do a bonus, which is, I don't know, committees. Let's do something that people can come together to do. Well, let's hold a committee event as a bonus, and then we'll say and we'll just say bring in a guest as part of our, as our goals that we go through, right? So then for our points total, we'll say joining a committee, we can do 50 points. Bringing in a guest is 50 points. Doing the actions, we're going to do those as 10 because I'm hoping that we have lots of good things that are going on. And sharing the Facebook page is going to be 15, but if you're going to participate in a committee event, let's make that one 100. Right? So, for example, let's throwing it out there, we have, as I put in here, our baseline calculation. Let's say we're just doing one of these per person. Our goal is going to be, our total points is 625, and we're going to put our goal maybe around like 475, 500 that you can take a look at. So, hey, look at that. Nice round number there. So let's say our goal is 500. So then as we go through and people are joining, everybody's assigned for the committees. So we go through and oops, put that in the wrong one. So we're filling this in. Everybody gets assigned to a committee. We get some points. Member 1 brings a guest on 620. Member 3 brings a guest on 415. Blah, 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 as you go through. And the reporting fills out as you continue to go through and put it together. So I think that that's great. Thank you, Kelsey, for sharing this idea. Are there any questions on building this? You would do this as part of your officer, and if you have a committee, as part of your officer training or your committee activities in order to get this done.
So I have a comment because I joined Kate's club. I joined Talking About Toastmasters in November of 2020, and I would have never guessed that they were less than 2 years from a conversation about ending the club. Yeah, because this demonstrated such they obviously had their stuff together, and it was also professional and clean and understandable. And it really made me feel comfortable joining. And I really would have never had the impression that the club was ever struggling with so just if for anyone that's in here that's thinking about doing it, it works on guests.
Yeah.
Does.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Yeah, we definitely were running around like chickens with our heads cut off, but we've got ourselves a little bit under more control now, and you're a great asset to our team.
Thank you. Yeah, and then also I really like how customizable you made it too, because then you can adjust it and it makes it fun. So now every year, you can set new goals. It's exciting, it's different, it keeps everyone's attention.
Right.
And enthusiasm going.
And honestly, I don't want to have the same goal for next year. So Steve is giving me the high sign. I got to get through this review. So our steps that we talked about are brainstorm the club goals with your officers and your membership, depending on how everything works in your club. Generate a points-based incentive system. So keep it smart, as Steve mentioned, and keep it definitely attainable and measurable and all of those good things. And records, it really enlightened me into how everyone in our club membership worked when I could actually see how people were progressing through the different goals that we had given them. And it's given me the opportunity to be able to reach out to people and help them grow a little bit further. Introduce it to your club. Share the updates with your club at least once a month to make sure that you're keeping it in front of them. And that's for your accountability as well. Congratulate the members on their efforts when you reach your goal, because you will, and celebrate the reaching of your goal because everybody came together and did it. You can even make it a project, which I did. I used this in order to complete my my EC level 3, which is effective coaching level 3 reaching consensus project, where I then eventually pushed the rock over the cliff and we all celebrated and planned our picnic that we will be having in July, which Stephanie is a member of our picnic committee. Also, just a tip for all of those officers out there, I personally have trouble getting into getting my projects done. So you could use all this stuff that you did, like this meeting right here, in order to fulfill a project. So with that, I would again like to open it up for any questions, because we do have 4 minutes left. And I want to make sure that, I know I ran through a lot of stuff quickly. I want to know if any of this resonated with people or if there's any specific questions. Thanks, Mohan. I know it's a lot, and all of the templates are available in the download that David provided, so you can always reach me. Go ahead, Kelsey. I think you're still up on stage, so you can just unmute.
That I am.
There you go.
Okay, I'm back. I have a question for both of you. Actually, you know what? I'm going to direct it to Steve. Steve, I'm directing it to you. You ready?
Okay.
Okay, I'm curious. What unforeseen obstacles came about when you rolled this out? What were the hiccups?
Well, for me, I didn't roll anything out. I met with Kate and her executive committee, and I put these two things that were not at all related together to solve a very specific problem that they had. And it was all they're doing. They created this. They knew they needed a spreadsheet. They knew they needed some kind of pathways reward in there. But other than that, it was their doing as a club. Kate, as the VPE, was the one who took on the actual development and the maintenance of it. If you can't maintain this, if you don't have a numbers person in your club, you're going to struggle with this. But there could be ways maybe you could simplify it. But that's the biggest obstacle for this being successful.
Right.
Well, I'm curious, Steve, though. Did Kate wrap her head around it immediately? How was the sell? Was it easy just because she's a numbers person?
She did mention earlier in her opening that she was the reluctant member of the executive committee.
As a new VPE. And I'm like, what are you doing
what
to
I
me?
have to do. But she got on board with it and, looked at it like a project she'd do at work. She figured it out and made it happen.
And so the biggest thing that I learned from the first year to the second year was making sure that what we were measuring and how we were measuring it was transparent and easy for me to keep track of, especially if I wasn't able to attend a meeting. I needed to make sure that I could backtrack and fill things in.
I can sort of answer your question, Kelsey, by saying if a club is in trouble, the buy-in will be easier than if the club isn't in trouble, because it is a bookkeeping nightmare. But once you get used to it and have a routine, it's pretty easy to keep up with it. But it's the clubs that need the help that need this kind of thing. And we also wanted, and we just didn't have enough time to put it in my speech, but this is just giving you an idea. I took two unrelated things and put them together in my head and made a proposal to them. You can come up with your own unrelated things. What can we do as a club to come up with something that will move us along? Most clubs, when they're in trouble, they're stagnated. They're not moving forward. They're slowly moving backward. And how do you overcome that? And there are other programs that can get put together. But this was my brainstorm. I haven't come up with another one.
There you go. Yeah, and to Stephanie's point that, I live in Excel. I don't do pivot tables, but I do formulas. And I really do enjoy having a nice visual and things that populate themselves and all of that. But you can do this in a sticker chart, as Stephanie mentioned. You can do it as something that you just have a notebook that you're following through on, and then show that, yes, barf on the pivot tables. Just something that makes sense in your head so that you can keep track of it and so that it's easy for you. Not everybody lives in the same Excel world that I do. So you can definitely take the concept of what this is and apply it to something in your club. You have the templates available if you do want to go through and do the Excel spreadsheet thing, which is how my brain works. And just roll with it for what your club needs. And you can create the culture in the club that you want to have, which I think is great. So, any other questions? Okay. Any other ideas that people want to throw out for a problem that we got extended by 3 minutes or by 5 minutes, so now we're at 3:50. Any other problems that anybody wants to discuss? Oh, 1 minute.
There we go. 1 minute.
Okay, there we go. Okay, well, in any case, I really appreciate everybody's time today. I will put my email in the chat, and if you have any questions or anything, you can email me. We can talk about it. Oh, so Robert has a question. How do I share it? I share it in my first email where I'm asking for people to fulfill roles. I share it. I share a slide. I don't share the whole spreadsheet, but I keep it simple, right? I keep it down to to those charts that I showed you in our meetings to show our progress, and I just throw it up and let people ask questions and congratulate people on winning. Mohan, and he's the one who got through everything first, although he does have a contender now as well. So thank you. I appreciate your time.